This video, we're going to explore the button. We've actually built buttons before, but this one's different. This is the Cute Quick Controls button. And we're going to be able to do something like this, where we click a button and it just simply changes the picture. There are many, many ways of doing this, so your way of doing it may be slightly different than the way I'm doing it. And this is going to be another end-to-end video, meaning raw, unedited, unfiltered. You'll see every single mistake I make. So, first things first, going to paste some images in here. These are the actual images we're going to use, and I'm just going to add these in as resources. So what we need to do now is right-click, open in the editor. Let's add a prefix. And then let's add some files. Ta-da, there they are. They're images. I'm probably going to name that something different, but we're just going to leave it the way it is. Now we're going to jump back here. We're going to go to Design View. And here we're going to actually import. So let's go here, and we want our controls. There they are. I want to section this off. So first thing I want to do is I want to grab this window, and I want a specific color here. So let's do pound, and let's say 7B. So it should be like a gray. There we go. Make it whatever color you want, or you can simply use the color chooser and you can kind of drag it around and do something like this. There we go. I just want some type of darker color than the actual button. Let's go ahead and let's take a row here. We're going to grab this row and we're going to drag and drop it. You notice right off the bat, it has this kind of funky size. And if we click on it, it has a default size of 200 by 400. It actually tries to scale it via our little view here. So I'm going to grab this guy, and I want to make this pretty much something like that. I'm going to zoom out using Control middle mouse, and I'm going to put this right here, like this. The premise being I'm going to put buttons in this row, and I want to actually, I don't want it that high. Let's do 45. There we go. Spacing, let's make 5 pixel spacing. That way the buttons will be spaced out. And now we can just drag and drop some buttons in here. So different types of buttons, we just want the standard button. So I'm going to drag and drop there. You see there's the first one. So we're going to want 1, 2, how many do we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4 buttons because we got 4 images. So there's our first button. Notice we lost our filter here. And there's 2, 3, and last but not least 4. And we can label these appropriately. So I'm going to just double click on it, say cat, and let's do dog. Let's do fish next, which of course would leave the bird for very last. And you don't have to double click. You can simply select it and type it in the text property if you want. Notice this button has a lot of different properties, like different things. You can check it, you can make it a repeater, things like that. We will cover that, but right now we're just talking specifically how do you make this button actually work. If we save and run, you can see there's our button, and it slightly changes color. I'm not sure if the video is really doing it justice, but it changes color as we click it. So what we're going to do now is add an image and make these buttons clickable. And we're going to take this image, and I'm going to collapse that row down. I'm just going to add it to the window. You notice how it drops it down, but it also plops it right on top. That's one of the little gotchas here. So we're going to actually drag that. You notice how it's not doing us any favors. I'm going to Control Z. This is one of the little frustrating parts of the editor here. So I'm going to drag this down here, or I can drag it here if I want a pixel perfect control. So again, if I dragged it down onto the navigator, it's going to plop it at 0, 0. So I dragged it from here to here. Ta-da! All right, so we've got this annoying little where it says image. Let's save and run, see what that does when we run it. of course, it's gone. You remember our conversation previously about how images in the designer can get a bit frustrating. So really what that is just a temporary placeholder is what's going on there. And we can see that's part of the Qt Quick plugin. It's actually part of the resource file, the QRC. So let's actually set the anchors on this. So I'm going to just scale this down here, and then I'm going to slide it over here. I'm going to grab this little handle, and ta-da! Now let's go over to our layout. Here's our anchors. So what I'm going to do is anchor at top, bottom, left, right. That way it will scale as we need it. Save and run. Can't really see it, but there's an image here, and as I move this window around, it's going to scale appropriately. Now let's make these things clickable. There's multiple ways we could do this. We could either A, go into the text editor and then say something like on clicked, or we can use a connection. There's a bit of, I don't want to call it a holy war, but there's a huge debate basically on what is the appropriate way to do it. And depending on who you talk to, you're going to get different answers. So I'm going to take this button, I'm going to say plus button on clicked. So what's going to happen now is it's got this connection down here. And then we can just simply make this work. So on clicked, what we want to do is we want to say image.source, and we're going to say equals, and then we're going to set it. So we're just taking this image, setting the source. Let's go ahead and grab our source name. So I'm going to say, what was that first one? Cat. Right click, I'm going to copy that resource name, and then just paste it in here. Now we can do a little bit of copy and paste magic. If we don't feel like going through that designer, we can actually do it right through this, and we can actually say connection, and we want button 1, which is dog. So I'm going to say button 1, change this to dog. We can very quickly do this if we don't want to mess around with the actual designer. Button 2 is fish. Just going to say 2 fish. Again, there are millions of ways to achieve the same results here. We're just doing this very quickly. So button 3 is bird. Ta-da! We could actually flip back to the designer, and you can see those connections are in there now. Which way's the right way? Hitting this plus button or doing it in the actual code? Well, there is no right way. That's the beautiful thing about coding. You can do it any way you want. Save and run, and let's click our buttons.